started to form his own friend groups. He brought Diana to their hangouts and get-togethers, but she didn't like the group because other girlfriends were also present. Jake asked her to stop openly stalking the other girls because his friends were getting mad at him, and she took that as him defending the girls because he likes them. Okay. Jake changed his phone password. It didn't matter that he gave her the new password as soon as he'd done it. The fact that he changed it at all felt sketchy to her. I have no idea why he changed it, but I don't think he'd give her the new password if he changed it to hide anything. Okay, so it's clear that she's bringing in her past issues with her past relationships into this new relationship. It's the thing about cheating. Like, you really screw people up for a long time when you do it. Not to say her behavior is warranted, but, like, I kind of get it. She's still acting crazy. Don't get me wrong. Ironically, this kind of behavior, as much as you try to control the person, I think all it does is push them away. Self-fulfilling prophecy, as it were. The aces for telling a woman in my friend group that what she did wasn't petty revenge. It was just crazy. Ooh, alright. Wait a second. So, this story comes as well. I, 26 female, live in a small Midwestern town where even if you aren't close with everyone, you know everyone. My grade growing up was the largest with 98 kids. It was a pre-K-12 school. So at some point or another, you were in a class with every other kid of your age, especially by middle school where you were attending about 8 classes a day. And trauma got around that, especially relationship trauma. The woman in question, let's call her Diana, also 26 female, had a lot of relationship trauma. The ideal that was pushed on us, a lot of girls, was to lock down a guy from high school and then get married. Anyways, Jake ended up having to fully cut her off after they broke up. He kicked her out of his apartment that she partially moved into, had a third party give her back all her things, and just generally did his best to avoid her. Diana kept telling everyone who would listen that he was a lying cheat, and our friend group was split in half between the people, like myself, who didn't think that he cheated, and the people who were egging Diana on. Still, we all tried to support her at the time, and we thought she was smart. So she had a new boyfriend, and hasn't mentioned Jake in these last few years. Well, Jake recently got engaged. I guess his mom never blocked Diana. Diana never reached out to her. And when she posted it on Facebook, Diana saw it. And it set her off. She badmouthed the girl, let's call her Julie, in the group chat immediately, sending pictures off her Instagram to make fun of her. Oh yeah, she still likes Jake. Not that making fun of her would have been okay anyways. Julie's an upgrade from Diana in every way. She's absolutely stunning, currently going to school for being a nurse, and from what I could tell from my own snooping, she spends most of her free time volunteering. I'm sure she's got skeletons somewhere, but she seems great, and all the pictures of her and Jake make them seem very happy. And that's probably what's driving Diana so nuts. Well, I was the first to tell her she needed to let it go. It's been years, and she's way too hung up on this for a grown woman. A few of the other women in the group echoed sentiment that it wasn't good for her mental health, and she was happy in her relationship, but why did it matter what Jake was up to? Well, apparently, she made a new group chat with the girls who were encouraging her, and they all used women's profiles to snoop on her and Jake. And they kept encouraging her to get some revenge on Jake. Diana realized that Jake still lived in his same apartment, and still had a lot of his clothes that Diana had picked out for him. So, she got the bright idea to dig up old pictures of her and Jake and send them to Julia, claiming Jake had cheated on her, Julia, with Diana, presenting it like the pictures were new. She was bragging about it the last time we all met up, and how she never believed her breakup. She's sure it caused issues for Jake, and how she could finally move on from what he did to her after he played with it. But she said literally no proof that any of that actually happened. I pointed out that what she did wasn't petty revenge, it was crazy. Right, because like petty revenge implies something actually happening to you to warrant revenge on someone else. You being delusional and cray-cray because of your past trauma and projecting that onto people who don't deserve it is not petty revenge. We don't know that version of petty revenge, okay? We don't claim her. That's not what we're about, guys. She went out of her way to make another girl think she was being cheated on. That's what's messed up. Like, doesn't Diana know that that's like a really horrible thing to have to experience? On the flip side, wouldn't she not want to do that to somebody else? Diana defended herself, saying that if they really did have a strong relationship, it wouldn't do anything but cause Jake some stress. And if he hadn't changed, then she probably saved Julia. I still think what she did was crazy, and she thinks it's because I never believed her about Jake cheating to begin with. Which is true. I never did believe her about Jake, and I still don't. And our friend group is split in half all over again. Who knows? Maybe she was right about him. I'm not sure, but I think, okay, let's say a girl starts dating someone that you were dating. That guy cheated on you. Is it any of your business to let that girl know that he was, like, awful to you? Not really, but I feel like that's different than outright lying about him cheating when he never cheated with that person to begin with. Diana hasn't spoken to me, but apparently she hasn't been doing very well. I've been getting messages from all of our other friends about how upset she is, and half the friend group is also mad at me for kicking her while she was already down and calling her crazy. The other half of the group is on my side and agree we're almost 30 and she shouldn't be hung up on a guy she dated that long ago and a breakup she caused with her paranoia. But one of our friends was usually level-headed and agreed with the Jake didn't cheat situation is against me currently. She says Diana was clearly just going through a lot and that of course she was feeling badly about seeing her ex get engaged, and when she herself hasn't even been able to get her boyfriend to have a real conversation about it yet. I do know how touchy of a subject marriage is for her and how much her mom has been on her about not having a ring at our age, but I still think trying to make a girl think she's been cheated on is way too far. Yeah, again, like I've said in so many previous videos, your trauma is not your fault. Like, things that happen to you are not your fault. But what is your fault is how you use that trauma and justify bad behavior to people who are completely innocent, who do not deserve that sort of treatment. Go to therapy. Don't take it out on other people. So, am I the a-hole? Should I apologize for calling her crazy at the very least? Anyways, Jake ended up having to fully cut her off after they broke up. He kicked her out of his apartment that she'd partially moved into, had a third party give her back all her things, and just generally did his best to be the a-hole.
Fiance goes, we have to leave. He doesn't want us here anymore. I told her I never said that. I said we could talk about this tomorrow when everyone calmed down, but she wasn't having it. She kept saying, he doesn't want you. Don't let me leave on my own. Her daughter started crying, saying she didn't want to leave. The poor kid was confused and scared, and I felt awful. I told them both they were welcome to stay, that nobody had to go anywhere. But my fiance grabbed her purse and keys and just left. Didn't pack a bag, didn't take her daughter, just walked out the door. Her daughter stood there crying, asking why her mom left without her. I tried calling my fiance like 15 times that night. No answer. I texted her asking if she was okay, where she went, if she was coming back. Nothing. Her daughter ended up sleeping in the guest room, and I felt like the worst person alive even though I didn't do anything wrong. The next morning, I called my daughter's father to let him know what happened since we share custody, and he needed to know there was drama going on. He just laughed. Like, actually laughed. He said she couldn't even hold off on the crazy until after the wedding, huh? That stung because he was right. I'd been ignoring red flags for months, like how she never wanted to do anything with my son, or how she'd get mad when I spent money on him, or how she always made everything about her feelings. Her daughter stayed with me for 2 more days before my fiancé finally showed up to get her. She didn't apologize or explain where she'd been, just picked up her kid and left. We haven't talked since, and honestly, I don't even know if we're still engaged. Fiancé goes, we have to leave. He doesn't want us here anymore. I told her I never said that. I said we could talk about this tomorrow when everyone calmed down, but she wasn't having it. She kept saying, he doesn't want you. Don't let me leave on my own.
No, and kept eating. Tyler could talk whenever he wanted. Mom too, just me. Week 2, I tested it, asked permission to pass the salt. Can I speak? What do you need? May I have the salt? You just spoke twice without asking first. I literally just asked. Don't talk back. My hands were shaking. I excused myself and went to my room. I heard Tyler say something like, that's kind of harsh, but Dad shut him down fast. Week 3, I stopped trying. I just sat there, ate in silence, didn't ask for anything. Dad seemed pleased with himself. See? You can learn. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just kept eating. Mom pulled me aside after dinner one night. Just apologize and he'll drop it. Apologize for what? For existing? For interrupting him at Olive Garden? That's all he wants.
Medical histories, insurance. Sophia was pushing. James tried to stop her, but she kept going. Where did it happen? What intersection? Dad finally gave her the details. Corner of Riverside and 5th, June 14th, 2015, around 6:30 p.m. Sophia typed it into her phone. That's when her face changed. Wait, this intersection has traffic cameras. My throat closed up. What? The city keeps footage for major intersections. I can request it through a public records request. Mom stood up. That's not necessary. It's just for the file. Sophia said lightly, too lightly. James was staring at her. Babe, what are you doing? Being thorough. She was already emailing someone. The footage took 3 weeks. Sophia didn't mention it again until last Sunday. Family dinner, everyone there. Kate, my parents, James, Sophia, my aunt, and uncle. Sophia brought her laptop. I have something to show everyone, she said, setting it on the dining table. My hands went numb. What is this? Dad demanded. Traffic cam footage, June 14th, 2015, 6:31 p.m. She hit play. The video was grainy, but clear enough. silver Honda Civic approaching the intersection. You could see through the windshield. Kate was driving. I was in the passenger seat. The timestamp was burned into the corner. 18:31:47. The room went silent. Kate's face drained of color. The truck appeared from the right side. The impact, our car spinning. It was brutal to watch. Sophia let it play for 10 more seconds, then paused. According to the police report, your son was driving, but the footage shows Kate behind the wheel. Mom's mouth open. Nothing came out. Dad turned to me. His face was white. You told us. I tried to tell you. For 10 years. My voice cracked. I tried. Kate was crying. I don't remember. You were 14, Sophia said gently. Traumatic brain injury. It's normal not to remember, but this is what happened. James grabbed my shoulder. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. My parents just sat there, frozen. They'd made me pay $43,000. Blamed me for a decade. Treated me like I'd ruined Kate's life. Kate wheeled over to me. Her hands were shaking. I destroyed your life. No, they did. My parents never apologized. They tried, but I was already gone. Medical histories, insurance. Sophia was pushing. James tried to stop her, but she kept going. Where did it happen? What intersection? Dad finally gave her the details. Corner of Riverside and 5th, June 14th, 2015, around 6:30 p.m. Sophia typed it into her phone. That's when her face changed. Wait, this intersection has traffic cameras. My throat closed up. What? The city keeps footage for major intersections. I can request it through a public records request. Mom stood up. That's not necessary. It's just for the file, Sophia said lightly, too lightly. James was staring at her. Babe, what are you doing? Being thorough. She was already emailing someone. The footage took 3 weeks. Sophia didn't mention it again until last Sunday. Family dinner, everyone there. Kate, my parents, James, Sophia, my aunt, and uncle. Sophia brought her laptop. I have something to show everyone, she said, setting it on the dining table. My hands went numb. What is this? Dad demanded. Traffic cam footage, June 14th, 2015, 6:31 p.m. She hit play. The video was grainy, but clear enough. Our silver Honda Civic approaching the intersection. You could see through the windshield. Kate was driving. I was in the passenger seat. The timestamp was burned into the corner. 18:31:47. The room went silent. Kate's face drained of color. The truck appeared from the...
I refused to pay. 2 weeks later, I got...
Hey, little bro, I see you.
You're not even mentioned in the will. My sister announced at Thanksgiving dinner. Everything. The house, the business, the rentals. All mine. Dad smirked approvingly. I just smiled and kept eating. Then Dad turned to me. So where are you living with us? I replied, in Grandma's estate. The one she deeded to me. His fork dropped. Part 3. I stood up, pulling my coat from the back of my chair. I came to Thanksgiving because I thought maybe, just maybe, you'd treat me like family for once. But you couldn't even make it through dinner without making it clear that I'm only valuable if I play by your rules and stay in my assigned role. Sage, sit down. Dad commanded. We're not finished discussing this. Yes, we are. I said. You finished it when you drew up a will that excluded me entirely. You just didn't expect me to have my own foundation to stand on. The estate. Victoria said suddenly, her business mind clearly working through implications. What else did she give you? I paused at the doorway. I could leave now, let them wonder. Or I could finish this conversation once and for all. The house and land. I said. Her investment portfolio worth about $1.8 million. Her collection of first edition books, which she knew I'd actually read and appreciate. And her shares in the family business that Grandpa founded. Dad's face went white. What shares? That business was sold in 1995. Some of it was. I agreed. But Grandma retained a 30% ownership stake in the intellectual property rights. Those rights generate about $75,000 annually in licensing fees. She transferred them to me in a separate trust. I watched the math happen in my father's eyes. The house, the land, the investment portfolio, the IP rights. Grandma had given me well over $5 million in assets. More than his entire estate was worth. More than he'd ever given me in my entire life. You manipulated her, Victoria said, her voice sharp with desperation. You isolated her from the family and convinced her to give you everything. I loved her. I said simply. That's all I ever did. I called her to ask about her day. I listened to her stories about growing up during the Depression. I helped her plant her vegetable garden every spring. I sat with her while she watched her favorite old movies. I didn't do it for money or property. I did it because she was my grandmother and I loved her. Then why did you accept the estate? Mom demanded. If you weren't after her money, why take it? Because she asked me to. I said. Because in her last month she told me she wanted me to have a place that felt like home. She said, Sage, you've been searching for where you belong your whole life. Let me give you somewhere that's completely yours. No conditions. No expectation. No one to tell you you're not enough. How could I refuse that? The tears were running down my face now, but I didn't bother to wipe them away. You want to know the saddest part? She hoped that deeding me the estate would be a wake-up call for all of you. She thought maybe, if you saw that she valued me, you'd start to value me too. But even now, even hearing all this, you're not seeing me. You're just seeing what I have that you wanted. Jason spoke for the first time since the revelation. Sage, I'm sorry. We've been really shitty to you. I looked at my younger brother, the one who'd always been caught in the middle. Never quite golden enough for Victoria's spot. Never quite rebellious enough to be interesting. Thank you, Jason. That actually means something. Don't apologize to her. Victoria snapped. She doesn't deserve it. She snuck around behind our backs, poisoned Grandma against us. I did no such thing. I said firmly. Every single conversation I had with Grandma, I encouraged her to reach out to you. I suggested she invite you over more often. I even offered to coordinate a family vacation where we could all spend time together. He tried, Victoria. He tried so hard. But you were always too busy with your own life to make time for hers. That's not true. Victoria protested, but her voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? I pulled out my phone again and opened my photos. This is Grandma's calendar from the last year of her life. She kept it meticulously. See all these entries. Called Victoria. No answer. Invited Victoria to lunch. She canceled. Sent Victoria a birthday present. No thank you, Paul. She tried 17 times in 12 months to connect with me. We responded to 4. I showed them the calendar, watching their faces as they saw the evidence of their neglect documented in their grandmother's careful handwriting. I have a demanding career. Victoria said weakly. So do I replied. But I made time. That's the difference. Dad pushed back from the table, his chair scraping harshly against the hardwood floor. This is unacceptable. I'm calling Robert Henderson first thing Monday morning. We'll have the deed transfer investigated for any irregularities. Do what you need to do. I said tiredly. But it won't change anything. Grandma's attorney is Sharon Martinez, not Robert Henderson. She doesn't work for you or take calls for you or make you any favors. And everything is completely legal and documented. You'll waste money on legal fees and end up exactly where you started. Why did she use a different attorney? Mom asked. Because she knew you'd try exactly this, I said. She knew you'd assume you could pressure or influence whoever handled her estate. So she went to someone outside your circle. Someone who'd follow her wishes exactly, regardless of family pressure. The fight seemed to drain out of the room. Victoria slumped in her chair. Dad stood frozen by the table. Mom stared into her wine glass like it held answers. What happens now? Jason asked quietly. Now, I said, I go home, to my home. The one Grandma gave me. And you all continue with whatever you were planning. Your will stands as written. I'm not contesting it because I don't need to. I'm not filing any legal challenges to your estate plans because honestly I don't care. You've already given me the only thing that matters. Proof that my word to you can be written out with a few legal documents. Sedge, don't be dramatic. Mom said, we're still your family.
No,
Marry
you're
you?
not.
I asked. Because family doesn't announce someone's exclusion from a will at Thanksgiving dinner like it's a victory.
Want big savings? For just $239 a month, or to save thousands with 0.99% financing? There's a Honda for that. The games in the 90s weren't
Am I the a-hole for going no contact with my twin brother because he refuses to meet my husband? Allow me. I, 34 female, have a twin brother, 34 male. We'll call him Sam. And I have a husband, 36 male. We'll call John. Okay, so for context, setting the scene. Sam refused to come to my wedding because he said I deserve much better than John. Because at the time, John was a mechanic at a local shop and only made minimum wage. I already hate this because, you as family members or friends, you might think that your friends and family members deserve better than what they're getting, but it is in no way your job to protest that and make it your problem. We should always try to support as much as possible. If you see things that they don't, hopefully they see those things in time. But if it's just something like, oh, he doesn't make enough money, I feel like that's very superficial. Maybe he doesn't make enough money right now. Doesn't mean that he's not husband material. And, things change. So Sam and I come from a family that's well off. So Sam didn't see the appeal. I mean, money really isn't everything. Like, I feel like all the rich guys that I dated were also, like, total assholes. They were interested in women, like, half their age or younger. They refused to be tied down in relationships. They wanted to cheat. They wanted to have open relationships. Money does not buy class. I told Sam that I loved John, and nothing was going to change that. Sam let that go, and Sam got married as well. I couldn't make the wedding as I was 9 months pregnant, and my due date was a week away from his wedding. Sam was super upset, but that's besides the point. Like, listen, it's kind of hard when you have a friend that's pregnant and can't come to your wedding because of that. You can be, like, upset at the situation, but you can't be mad at the person that's pregnant. That's not entirely their fault. Oh, well, not entirely their fault. It's not their fault at all. I misspoke. I'm sorry. I almost feel like he was, like, being petty by not coming to yours, but okay. I was supporting my husband while I was pregnant because he was going to school, and I wanted to support John and help him as much as I could. No, I did not pay for his schooling. Okay, good to know. At this point, it's been 6 years that I had been with John, but Sam still refused to meet him. What is he, an aristocrat? My parents were on my side and said Sam was being irrational. But Sam didn't care. He said he would see me when I got divorced. Dear Lord. If he's lucky. I don't know, after that I'd still be, like, kind of pissed. Oh, and he still hadn't met my 2 kids at that point either. Don't take out your grievances on the children. Like, come on. It's not their fault. I have a son who's 15 now. He's not my son's biological father. We started dating when my son was 6 months old, but he did adopt him. This is for any confusion. And I have a daughter who is 11 now, and they haven't met my twin brother, their uncle. For context, Sam and I live in different states. I moved out of state with my mom, and he stayed with my dad when we were in high school. But when I would travel to where he lives, he would always tell me he was busy and couldn't meet up. Sam would never tell us when he was visiting my state either. Interesting.
Annoying sister-in-law keeps complaining because I have friends. I've been with my husband Caden for 8 years, married for 4. We have a 2-year-old son, and I'm 5 months pregnant with our second. From the moment I entered this family, Caden's brother's wife Leah decided I was the enemy. Leah had been with Caden's brother Dick. Needed it for school. That's not what the rules said. Day 2. Drew's dishes sat in the sink. I set a timer. Exactly 30 minutes. Then I took a photo. Showed my dad. Drew broke rule 15. Annoying sister-in-law keeps complaining because I have friends. I've been with my husband Caden for 8 years, married for 4. We have a 2-year-old son, and I'm 5 months pregnant with our second. From the moment I entered this family, Caden's brother's wife Leah decided I was the enemy. Leah had been with Caden's brother Derek since they were 15, 17 years together. She always assumed she'd be the favorite daughter-in-law, close with Caden's mom and sister. But she and Caden's mom never got along. Small differences piled up over the years, so by the time I showed up, the tension was already there. Then I came along, and within 6 months, Caden's mom was texting me recipes. His sister Jenna was inviting me to brunch. We just clicked naturally. Leah noticed, and Leah did not like it. It started small, little comments at family dinners. Oh, Amy's here again. Eye rolls when Jenna would mention our hands, but then it escalated. 2 years ago, Leah made an announcement at Thanksgiving. Her 3 kids, ages 7, 5, and 3, were not to call me Aunt Amy. I wasn't their real aunt. I was just their uncle's wife. She said it right in front of everyone while passing the mashed potatoes. Caden's mom looked horrified. Caden started to object, but I squeezed his hand under the table. I wasn't going to make a scene over a title, but that was just the beginning. Leah started keeping her kids away from me at gatherings. If I sat on the couch, she'd call them to another room. If I talked to her oldest, she'd interrupt and pull them away. Birthdays, Christmas, Easter, I became invisible to those kids because their mother made sure of it. The worst part, she tried to ban me from my own home. Last summer, she told Caden that if he wanted to see his nieces and nephew, I needed to leave the house during their visits. She said I made her uncomfortable, that the kids didn't need to be around someone who wasn't really family. Caden shut that down immediately. He told Derek that either I was respected as his wife or they wouldn't be visiting at all. Derek tried to play peacemaker, but ultimately sided with Leah. So we see them maybe twice a year now, at big family events only. Meanwhile, my friendship with Jenna has only grown stronger. Jenna lives 12 minutes away. She has a daughter, Lily, who's 3 weeks younger than my son. We hang out constantly. Tuesday playmates, Thursday coffee while the kids nap, weekend barbecues with both families. One thing I've gotten really good at is feeding toddlers. I spent months researching how to introduce new foods without shackles, different weights, specific timing, making meals fun without making them absurd.
You are missing out on huge benefits if you are not doing this in your travels. Becoming a Ryu class member, you get up to 10.
Ida for not making gravy. I pointed at us make dinner every night after work. I come home from work at 8 and sometimes don't even have my uniform off before I'm making dinner for my 30-minute husband. I try to have it ready by 9.
My husband abandoned me on my birthday to spend the entire day with his ex-wife, so I introduced his replacement at his mother's funeral. It was my 30th birthday, and my husband Jerome had promised we'd spend the whole day together since it was a milestone birthday, and I'd been talking about it for months. He'd made dinner reservations at the steakhouse I'd wanted to try, and said he'd taken the day off work, and we'd do whatever I wanted from morning until night. I woke up excited and made special breakfast while Jerome was in the shower. His phone rang, and I saw it was his ex-wife Natalie calling, which was weird because their divorce was 5 years ago, and they had no kids together. Jerome answered, and I heard him saying he'd be right there, and Natalie needed him. He came out saying Natalie's father had a heart attack, and she had nobody else to call, and he needed to be there for her. I said her father had a heart attack twice a year whenever she needed attention, and Jerome knew this, but he said this time was real and serious. He said he'd be back in an hour just to drop her at the hospital and make sure she was okay. He said we'd still have our whole birthday celebration, just maybe starting a little later. I watched him leave at 8 in the morning in the clothes I'd bought him for our anniversary while I sat there in my birthday dress. An hour passed, then 2, then 4. Jerome texted saying Natalie was really upset and he couldn't leave her alone at the hospital. He said her father was stable, but she needed emotional support. I called him and heard Natalie laughing in the background about something on TV. I asked if they were watching TV at the hospital, and Jerome said they'd gone back to Natalie's apartment to get her insurance papers. At 2 in the afternoon, Jerome said Natalie's father was being discharged and needed a ride home. At 4, he said Natalie needed help setting up her father's medications. At 6, he said Natalie was too upset to cook, so they were grabbing dinner. At 8, when our reservation had long passed, he said Natalie had a panic attack and he couldn't leave. I spent my entire 30th birthday alone while my husband played caretaker to his ex-wife, who was probably faking everything like she always did. Jerome came home at midnight and found me sitting in the dark, still wearing my dress. He said he was sorry, but emergencies happen and I should understand. He said Natalie had nobody else, and he promised when they divorced to always be there as a friend. He said I was being... My husband abandoned me on my birthday.
Update 2. She said, and we're breaking up, but you still have to take care of me like before. I replied, sure. That night, she texted me, I'm so hungry. I really want pizza. Can you bring some over? I answered, okay, wait 30 minutes. Half an hour later, when the pizza arrived, she started calling me nonstop. I knew this was coming. Her test. She wanted to see if I'd still jump whenever she snapped her fingers. Old me would have grabbed my keys right away. But that version of me didn't exist anymore, so I replied, no problem. I'll have it there in 30. I could almost imagine her smiling at the phone, thinking she still had me wrapped around her finger. Except this time, I had a different plan. I opened Uber Eats, ordered exactly what she wanted. The truffle pizza, a San Pelro, and tiramisu for dessert. Then in the special instructions box, I wrote, please charge the recipient directly. She will pay. Do not leave food without payment. Then I hit confirm. About half an hour later, my phone lit up. Not from her text, but from Uber Eats. Order delivered. 5 minutes after that, Chloe called once, twice, 3 times. Then the messages started coming in. Mark, what the hell? The driver said I had to pay. Are you serious right now? I thought you said you'd bring it. I didn't reply. I just sat there on my couch sipping a beer and watching the notifications pile up. She kept calling 10 times, maybe more. I didn't answer a single one. I wasn't doing it to be cruel. I just wanted to send a message, and a simple one. You don't get to keep the benefits of me after you break up with me. A couple of hours later, I finally texted back, hey, did you get your pizza? No response. Then 5 minutes later, you're unbelievable. I didn't even bother replying to that. Honestly, it felt weirdly satisfying. Not because I was trying to get revenge, but because I'd finally drawn a line. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was just done playing the little emotional games. The next day, my friend Aaron came over and I told him what happened. He laughed so hard he nearly spilled his coffee. Dude, that's the most polite revenge I've ever heard.
Because sometimes we feel bad, even when it's for their own good. Because you're only human, there's hills. Because sometimes we feel bad, even when it's for their own good. Because you're only human, there's hills.
You're like the
Updates. 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad to get the underscore out of my life after he chose his stepdaughter over me? The only Saturday they have available for the whole year is your wedding date. I didn't even blink. That's a shame. You'll have to find another venue or another view. Her face dropped. The sweetness evaporated. But I've already told everyone. And since you're just doing a small, simple thing and I'm doing a full traditional gala, I thought you'd be okay with moving yours to the fall or maybe next year. What's the difference, right? You're so low maintenance anyway. I looked at my dad. He was silent, looking at his screen like he was reading a script. The difference, I said, is that I booked mine first. My vendors are paid. My guests have a date. Sarah has her dress. The answer is no. She started wailing, not crying, wailing. You're always so cruel to me. You've never wanted me to be happy. Dad, tell him it's not fair. I ended the call. I thought that was the end of it. I thought surely my father wouldn't allow her to be that ridiculous. I was wrong. A week later, I find out from a cousin that she went ahead and booked her venue for that exact same Saturday anyway. She intentionally created a collision. She wanted to force a situation where my dad had to pick a side. My dad called for another Zoom. He looked like he hadn't slept. Look, he said, she already put the deposit down. She's been a wreck. She says she can't imagine getting married without me walking her down the aisle. And because she doesn't have a real father, I'm all she has. I felt a cold shiver go down my spine. I'm your son, Dad, your biological son. I'm the one you actually abandoned. Don't I count? Of course you count, he snapped. But you're strong. You've always been independent. You have your mom's family. You have your friends. She's fragile. She's going through so much with these rumors about her fiancé. She needs this. If you don't move your date, I have to be at hers. I can't let her walk down the aisle. I felt 30 years of suppressed rage boiling at once. You are literally telling me that you will skip your son's wedding, the son you ignored for 16 years, to reward your stepdaughter for intentionally hijacking my date. It's not a reward. It's a necessity. Please be the bigger person.
No.
Just move the date for me. No, I said. My voice was shaking now. I spent my whole life being the strong one because I didn't have a choice. I was independent because you weren't there to support me. And now you're using the strength I built without you as a reason to abandon me again. I'm not abandoning you. Yes, you are, I said. You're choosing her again. You chose her when I was 5 and you're choosing her now that I'm 30. You're not a father. You're an enabler. You want to feel like a good guy for helping a fragile girl, but you're just a coward who can't stand up to a girl. I looked at the stepdaughter who was smirking in the background of the screen. Go to her wedding, I said. Walk her down the aisle to a man who doesn't respect her. Have a blast, but do not show up at bum. Do not call me. Do not send me a check. You're not my father. You're just a guy who paid some bills to soothe his own conscience. Get the underscore out of my life, and this time, stay out. I shut the laptop and blocked both of them. Since then, it has been a non-stop barrage of guilt tripping. His wife sent me a 3-page email that was essentially a manifesto on why I'm a heartless person. She wrote about how my dad cries himself to sleep and how he has nightmares about the past. She said that family requires compromise and that I'm being inhumane by forcing him to choose. My half-sisters are texting me that they are disappointed in me. They say that the stepdaughter is fragile and that I should understand how much she needs this win because her fiancé was likely cheating on her. But what about my win? What about the one day in my life where I wanted my father to show up for me first? I am done. I am sending the invitations out to them. My dad isn't on the list. His wife isn't on the list. My half-sisters, who chose to sign with the bully, aren't on the list. My mom is the only one who will be in the front row. She's the only one who earned it. When I told her what happened, she didn't even say, I told you so. She just hugged me and said, I've got the champagne ready for your wedding day, no matter who else is there. And honestly, that's all the family I need. And I've underscore update. I didn't think I'd be writing an update this soon, but the last few days have been a relentless, suffocating blur of drama. I've reached a point where I feel like I'm living in a scripted reality TV show, except there are no cameras, and the people trying to ruin my life are actually related to me. My phone is currently in do not disturb mode, but the notifications still glow on the screen like little digital landmines. If you're just joining this disaster, the short version is my dad abandoned me for 16 years to raise his stepdaughter and 3 other daughters. He came back into my life. We had a shaky 10-year reconciliation, and then he asked me to move my wedding date because his stepdaughter intentionally booked hers on the same day. He told me I was strong enough to handle him not being there, but she was too fragile to walk down the aisle alone. I told him to get out of my life and stay out. Here is what has happened since I shut that laptop. The day after the Zoom call from hell, I received an email from my dad's wife. It wasn't just a let's talk email. It was a 2,500-word manifesto. She didn't address the fact that her daughter, the stepdaughter, had intentionally sabotaged my wedding date. Instead, she framed the entire conflict as a failure of my character. She wrote, "You have always been the bridge we couldn't quite cross. For 10 years, we have opened our hearts and our home to you. And yet, you still hold on to the bitterness of a child. Your father is a broken man. He spends his nights weeping over the rift you have created. Is your pride really worth more than your father's help? Stepdaughter is going through a crisis. Her fiancé's behavior has left her vulnerable, and she needed a win. She needed to know her family would stand by her. By refusing to move your date, you were actively trying to destroy her happiness." I read that over 3 times. Not once did she mention that the stepdaughter knew my date. Not once did she acknowledge that I had booked my venue 6 months prior. To her, my pride was the problem, not her daughter's calculated balance. I didn't reply. I blocked her email address, but that only signaled the start of the next phase of the campaign. My 3 half-sisters, my dad's biological daughters with his wife, decided to launch a coordinated text attack. These are girls I've tried to have a relationship with. I've gone to their graduations. I bought them birthday gifts. I thought we were okay. The oldest, who is 21, sent me a message that really stung. Update. 2. Am I the a hole for telling my dad to get the underscore out of my life after he chose his stepdaughter over me? The only Saturday they have available for the whole year is your wedding day. I didn't even blink. That's a shame. You'll have to find another venue or another year. Her face dropped. The sweetness evaporated. But I've already told everyone. And since you're just doing a small, simple thing and I'm doing a full traditional gala, I thought you'd be okay with moving yours to the fall or maybe next year. What's the difference, right? You're so low maintenance anyway. I looked at my dad. He was silent, looking at his screen like he was reading a script. The difference, I said, is that I booked mine first. My vendors are paid. I guess second date. Sarah has her dress. The answer is no. She started wailing. Stop crying. Wailing. You're always... Final update. 3. Am I the a hole for telling my dad to get the underscore out of my life after he chose his stepdaughter over me? She said, "I used to look up to you. I thought you were the cool big brother who overcame everything. But now I see you're just a bully. You're punishing dad for things he did before I was even born. You're making us choose between you and stepdaughter. And you know we can't leave her alone. If you don't apologize and move the date, don't expect us to show up to see you get married. A wedding is about family, and you clearly don't want to be part of ours." I sat on my couch and stared at that message for an hour. The gaslighting is so thorough that they've convinced themselves I am the one forcing the choice. They don't see that the stepdaughter is the one who drew the line in the sand. They don't see that she is the one who held a gun to the family's head and said, "Choose me or her." And as usual, everyone is choosing her. 2 days ago, the fragile stepdaughter herself decided to break her silence. She didn't call me. She didn't email me. She posted a long, vague booking status on Facebook and Instagram. It was a photo of her and my dad at her high school graduation with a caption that read, "Some people don't understand what it means to be a real family. They think blood is the only thing that matters, but it's the people who show up every day that count. So grateful for the man who chose to be my father when he didn't have to. I'm so sorry that others are trying to ruin our special moment with their jealousy and hate. Can't wait for our big day in June. Hashtag real family, hashtag bride to be, hashtag daddy daughter." The comments were filled with her friends and her mother's family calling me a bitter ex-son and telling her she's better off without the drama. It was a tactical move. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was publicly claiming my father, reinforcing the idea that she is the real child and I am just an interloper. It was a reminder that in the real family, I am nothing more than a footnote. The climax happened yesterday. I was at home with my fiancée Sarah trying to finalize the floral arrangements when there was a heavy knocking at the door. I looked through the peephole and my heart dropped. It was my dad. Sarah asked if I wanted her to tell him to leave, but I knew if I didn't face him now, he'd keep showing up. I opened the door. He looked terrible. Gray skin, dark circles under his eyes, close wrinkled. He looked every bit the broken man his wife described. "Can I come in?"
No.
He asked. "No," I said. "Whatever you have to say it here." He sighed and leaned against the doorframe. "Son, please.
Don't
This has gone
call
too far.
me that.
The whole family is in shambles. Your sisters aren't talking to me because I can't fix this. Your stepmother is furious. Stepdaughter is having panic attacks. Did you ask her why she booked my date?" "Dad," I asked. I kept my voice flat, professional. "Did you ask her why out of 52 Saturdays in a year, she chose the one she knew I already paid for? She says it was the only one available for the venue she wanted." He pleaded. "She didn't do it to hurt you. She's impulsive when she's stressed and with the stuff with her fiancé." "I don't care about her fiancé," I interrupted. "I care that you asked me to move my wedding for her. I care that you told me my wedding wasn't as important because I'm strong. Do you have any idea how much that hurt? To have the man who abandoned me for 16 years tell me I'm too strong to need him." He started to cry. Real ugly sobs. "I'm trying to keep everyone together. I'm the one in the middle. You aren't in the middle, Dad. You're on her side. You've been on her side since the day you met her mother. You gave her the childhood you owed me, and now you're giving her the fatherhood you promised her. If you were in the middle, you would have told me to change her date or you wouldn't have been. But you didn't. You told me to change mine." He grabbed my arm. "I'll pay for the move.
No.
Whatever the non-refundable deposits are, I'll triple them. Just move it to July, please. I'll give you a huge wedding gift. I'll make it right." I pulled my arm away. "You think this is about money? You think you can buy your way out of another You can't triple the value of my self-respect. Dad, the date stays and you stay away. You're going to regret this, he
No.
whispered. When I'm gone and you're all alone, you're going to realize you threw away your family over one Saturday. I was all alone for 16 years. Dad, I said, I'm pretty good at it by now. I shut the door. After he left, I sat on the floor, just breathed. Sarah came over and sat with me. She told me she's already talked to our vendors in the venue. She's hired a private security guard for the wedding day, not because she thinks they'll get violent, but because she doesn't want any scenes or dramatic speeches from people who weren't invited. My mom called me last night. She had heard about the Facebook post. She was livid, but she kept her cool for my sake. She said, honey, a father isn't the man who walks you down an aisle. A father is the man who makes sure you have an aisle to walk down. He failed the test a long time ago. You're just finally grading the paper. I am moving forward. My invitations are being mailed today. My dad, his wife, the stepdaughter, and my 3 half-sisters are not on the guest list. I am officially cutting off the cancer. It hurts. I'm not going to lie and say I feel like a superhero. I feel like a kid who just realized his dad never actually came back from him. He just came back with a version of me that was easy to manage. And now that I'm being difficult by having boundaries, I'm no longer worth the effort. But for the first time in my life, I'm okay with that. I'd rather have an empty seat at my wedding than a man who only occupies it because I begged him to. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Daily Tales Update for more such stories. Final update. 3. Am I the update? 2. Am I the a hole for telling my
You
dad?
could fucking or something?
Update.
Hand over 40
Well,
grand to your
that's
sister,
gross.
or the wedding's canceled. My mom said it in my fiance's parents' kitchen. I refused. She slapped me so hard I crashed into the pantry door. Then my fiance's father stepped in, and the smug look fell right off her face. I was 29. My sister was 26, and she'd been mom's favorite forever. When my sister wrecked her car, mom bought her a better one. When I asked for help with college, mom told me to get a job, so I learned to build a future without them. Ryan still talked me into inviting them to our engagement party. His parents were kind and respectful, and they treated me like family. I wanted one calm night with people who actually cared. I should have trusted my gut. About an hour in, mom cornered me by the fridge. Your sister's opening a salon. She needs a down payment. You're spending too much on this wedding anyway. Be a good sister. I'm not giving her $40,000. I said, that's our house fund. Her voice went cold. Selfish. Blood comes first. I tried to step past her, and that's when it happened. First, her hand cut across my face. Next, the crack echoed through the kitchen. Then my head snapped to the side. After that,